Hi, Recap.exe here. Today I'm going to explain a science fiction thriller called Timecrimes. Spoilers ahead. Drink water and take care. Hector and his wife Clara have just moved into a rural house still full of boxes. Clara heads out to run errands. Hector settles into a garden chair with binoculars, scanning the property. Before she leaves, the landline rings. He answers. Silence. Then whoever it is hangs up. He shrugs it off. They've only just moved in. Nobody has the number yet. Then he sees something through the binoculars. A young woman in the woods behind the house, alone, partially undressed, standing in a clearing. Curiosity wins. He goes in to look. He finds her unconscious on the ground. Before he can process that, a man lunges from the trees, wrapped head to toe in pink bandages, wielding scissors, stabbing Hector in the arm without a word. Hector runs. He stumbles onto a nearby research facility, breaks through a window, and finds a walkie-talkie. A man named Elhoven answers, the weekend attendant working alone in a building that should be closed. Elhoven guides Hector through the building using security cameras, trying to keep the bandaged man at bay. When the cameras cut out one by one, he offers the only option left, a large tank-like machine in the hilltop silo. Get inside, wait for police. Hector climbs in. The hatch closes. When it opens again, it's daylight. It was 10 at night a moment ago. Through the silo window, Hector sees himself in the garden below. He has traveled back roughly 1 hour into the past. The Hector in the garden is Hector 1. He is now Hector 2.
Elhoven explains carefully that the tank is an experimental time machine he has been running illegally during his weekend shifts. He needs Hector's silence. Exposure would cost him his job. His plan is simple. Hector 2 stays hidden and waits. Eventually, Hector 1 will go into the woods, get attacked, come to the lab, and step into the tank, exactly as Hector 2 just did. Once that happens, the two versions of him collapse back into one, and the afternoon ends without anyone knowing what happened. Alone in the lab, Hector 2 finds a telephone. Without fully thinking it through, he dials his own home number. Hector 1 answers. Hector 2 says nothing and hangs up. The wrong number call that Hector shrugged off in his living room the other day, that was him, calling himself from inside the lab 1 hour in the future. He should stay put. He doesn't. He finds a set of car keys and heads out to try to get ahead of what's coming. On the road, he spots the young woman on a bicycle, the same one he found unconscious in the woods. He gives chase. A red van clips his car and forces him off the road. He crashes into a tree, cutting his forehead open. He reaches for the bandage already wrapped around his arm and starts, almost automatically, wrapping his entire face. The blood soaks through, turning the bandages pink. He looks at his reflection in the car window and goes completely still. He is the bandaged man, the pink-wrapped figure that came out of the dark with scissors. That wasn't a stranger, wasn't a random attacker, wasn't someone with a reason Hector never found out. It was him, 30 minutes from now, and he is about to do everything that figure did because he already did it, because it already happened, because he is the only person who could have been there.
The young woman cycles back to check on him. It turns out she's a hairdresser. She uses her own scissors to trim the excess bandages around his eyes. As she prepares to leave, Hector stares at those scissors. They match the ones that stabbed him in the woods. He takes them. What follows is the first truly deliberate crime of the afternoon. Hector 2 coerces the woman into the woods at scissor point and makes the lady recreate the exact scene he himself witnessed through the binoculars an hour ago. He isn't doing this because he wants to. He's doing it because he already did it. Because Hector 1 saw that woman in that clearing, and Hector 1 has to see that woman in that clearing, because if he doesn't, none of the rest of it happens. The loop doesn't close. And if the loop doesn't close, Hector 2 may be stuck in this hour forever, or worse. When she fights back and runs, he chases her down a slope. She loses consciousness in the fall. He lays her carefully in the clearing, waits for Hector 1 to arrive, stabs his own earlier self in the arm, and disappears into the dark. He has not unraveled the loop, he has built it. Back at the house, convinced the worst is over, Hector 2 hears screaming. A woman is on the roof above the balcony. He grabs her ankles and pulls. She falls. He looks down. Short hair, red coat, Clara's car in the yard. She came home early. He stands there in the dark for a moment, not moving. Then it hits him in full. He traveled back to save the afternoon, and instead, he has made himself the instrument of his own wife's death. Every choice he made to protect the loop led here, to this. Clara, on the ground because of him. He races back to the lab and demands Elhoven send him through again, One more trip, one more chance to undo it. Elhoven refuses, and then, in the argument, lets something slip. Before Hector 2 even came out of the tank the first time, someone else was already there. Another Hector, arriving 30 seconds earlier, who found Elhoven first and gave him precise instructions on what to say, how to act, and how to respond when Hector 2 showed up. That version of Hector had already tried twice to save Clara. Both times, he failed. His message to Elhoven before he left was simple: time travel changes nothing. Hector 2 goes still for a moment. That means the conversation he thought he was having with Elhoven, the plan, the reassurances, the guidance, was scripted. It was performed. A future version of himself had already rehearsed this exact moment and decided exactly what Elhoven should say, because that version had already lived through it and knew it wouldn't work. And yet, here Hector 2 is, about to do the exact same thing anyway. He threatens Elhoven with a pipe until he reinstalls the machine's battery. Then he climbs in. He emerges as Hector 3. His plan this time is simple and brutal. Steal the red van from the facility, get to the road before Hector 2, run him off before he ever reaches the woman. No coercion, no accident, no body on the lawn. He executes it exactly. The van rams Hector 2's car off the road. The van flips in the crash, and Hector 3's dumb ass blacks out. He wakes up on the roadside staring at himself, knowing the plan has failed completely. All he has done is add a third Hector to an afternoon that already had too many. He then calls Elhoven again on the talkies and tells him to do whatever it takes to keep Hector 2 away from the time machine.
But something else comes clear as he limps away from the crash. The woman he saw fall from the rooftop, the one Hector 2 thought was Clara, wasn't Clara at all. It was the young woman from the woods in Clara's coat with her hair cut short to match. Hector 2 didn't know who he was chasing in the dark. He mistook her for his wife, just as the whole sequence was designed to make him do. Which means Clara is still alive somewhere in this afternoon, unhurt, with no idea what's happening around her. And the young woman is still alive too, for now, I guess. Hector 3 finds her, and she screams when she sees him. He lies quickly and tells her the bandaged man is chasing both of them. She believes him. She helps him limp back to the house. Inside, she goes upstairs to call the police. Clara, his wife, arrives home. And in that moment, Hector 3 understands the full shape of what he's looking at. He understands what has to happen, he understands what it will cost, and he decides to do it anyway. He locks Clara in a storage room in the basement and tells her not to come out no matter what she hears. Then he finds the young woman, cuts her ponytail off, dresses her in Clara's red coat, and sends her up to hide on the roof.
Everything plays out like last time. He forces Clara and himself to sit through the screams of the young lady falling from the rooftop, because he already knows that any interference unravels the loop, and an unraveled loop means something worse. We then see Hector 2 emerge from the house, get in the car, and drive away toward the lab, toward the tank, toward becoming Hector 3. The sirens start somewhere in the distance. The loop is closed. The young woman from the woods is dead. Total bummer, by the way. Clara is alive, the timeline holds, and the man sitting in that garden knows exactly what it cost, because every part of it, from the pink bandages to the scissors to the woman on the roof, came from him. One version of him built the trap, another fell into it, a third made sure it stayed shut. It started with a pair of binoculars and one small, curious decision, and it ended with a man sitting beside his wife in the dark, unable to tell her a single word of what just happened, or what he had to become to bring her home.
Alright, that's the end of this one. But if you thought Timecrimes was a nightmare, wait until you see what happens when a paralyzed man lets an AI control his body. It starts off like a miracle and slowly turns into something far more terrifying. Tap the video on screen to watch Upgrade next. Leave a like if you enjoyed this recap, subscribe for more movies that'll leave your brain buffering, and as always, drink some water. Peace.